This week on Brian Ross Investigates, trouble on the diamond. Decision time for one of baseball's star pitchers accused of domestic violence.
Last July, Bauer was placed on administrative leave after a San Diego woman claimed he sexually assaulted her at his Pasadena home.
But Trevor Bauer denies any wrongdoing.
While we did have consensual rough sex, the disturbing acts and conduct that she described simply did not occur.
He's not been charged with any crime, but will Major League Baseball enforce its zero-tolerance policy on domestic abuse? Plus, an investigation into how America's billionaires, Bloomberg, Bezos, and others game the tax system.
The thing that really struck us was that how little they pay, particularly when you compare to how much they're worth.
And what about those hidden tax breaks for the super rich owners of sports teams?
This is a magical place where sports team owners can tell the government they make tens or even hundreds of millions less than they actually do and pay very little in taxes. And it's all perfectly legal.
ProPublica reporters expose the facts, reveal the documents, and send the message. If you're getting a W-2, you're a sucker. And this week's winners and losers in the media. See if you agree with the choices made by the editors of Mediaite.
They have not monetized 500 million viewers. I mean, what are they thinking?
From the studios of the Law&Crime Trial Network in New York City's Herald Square, this is Brian Ross Investigates. Good evening and welcome. I'm Brian Ross, joined as always by my colleague Rhonda Schwartz. And Rhonda, we begin with trouble on the diamond over domestic violence allegations. The country's been watching allegations of domestic violence being leveled back and forth in a Virginia courtroom between actor Johnny Depp and his ex-wife. But there's another high-profile domestic violence case that is heading for a showdown, a case involving baseball star Trevor Bauer, the Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher, who's been kept off the field since last June, even as he continues to collect his $28 million a year salary. And Rhonda, Major League Baseball has yet to say how or even if he will be punished.
That's right, Brian. Bauer was placed on administrative leave after a 27-year-old woman alleged that Bauer had punched her, choked her into unconsciousness, and had anal sex with her while she was passed out. Trevor says it was all consensual, and authorities in California have declined to prosecute him, leaving baseball to decide what comes next.
Dodgers pitcher Trevor Bauer will not face any criminal charges following accusations of sexual assault. Last July, Bauer was placed on administrative leave after a San Diego woman claimed he sexually assaulted her at his Pasadena home.
Last June, a 27-year-old woman he met on social media testified the sexual encounters between them turned violent. Today, LA County prosecutors say they cannot prove her case beyond a reasonable doubt.
I never punched this woman in the face. I never punched her in the vagina. I never scratched her face. I never had anal sex with her or sodomized her in any way. I never assaulted her in any way at any time. And while we did have consensual rough sex, the disturbing acts and conduct that she described simply did not occur.
So now, to help us get a better understanding of how baseball and professional sports in general are dealing with this issue of domestic violence, we're joined by Jay Reisinger, an attorney in Pittsburgh who's represented a number of athletes facing similar allegations, including in the past Trevor Bauer. And Jay, I know you're not representing Bauer in this case. Let me ask you this. If prosecutors say there's not enough evidence to bring charges, what options does the MLB have?
The joint domestic violence program between Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association sets out very clearly, in its preamble, that criminal charges aren't required in order to find the necessary aspects of domestic violence with respect to the policy. Put it shortly, a crime is not required for the commissioner to determine that there's been a violation of the policy.
So is that fair to a player like Trevor Bauer, who denies it, as you saw so forthrightly?
Whether it's fair or not, no, it's not fair. It's not fair. But it is a policy that the Players Association and Major League Baseball agreed to, and thus he's required to abide by it.
Jay, a question for you from Rhonda Schwartz. Rhonda?
Jay, in this situation, Trevor's denied all these allegations, but for Major League ball players, for other professional sports athletes who are accused with these kinds of accusations, since they are such role models, shouldn't they be held to a higher standard regardless?
Not in my opinion. I don't think there should be a higher standard applied to professional athletes at all. No.
Jay, I know you're not involved in this case directly, but what do you think is taking Major League Baseball so long they continue to extend this administrative leave? Why can't they decide what to do?
Well, first of all, I think they were waiting for the results of the criminal investigation. Beyond that, I mean, this is the most complicated domestic violence case of the entire, DV policy timeframe, which is, I believe, from 2016 to the present. It takes a long time. Major League Baseball does their own internal investigations. They have former prosecutors on staff that are looking into it. So it takes a while.
In this case, Major League Baseball says it is still investigating the allegations. If they come down hard on Trevor Bauer, does he have an appeal process? What happens next for him, or does he have to take it?
No, he does not have to take it. He has the right to appeal to an independent arbitrator, which would be the system arbitrator that's prescribed by the CBA. And certainly if a suspension of some length is imposed, he's certainly going to appeal.
And Jay, finally, let me ask you, has the get tough stance taken by Major League Baseball and other professional sports leagues, is it working? Is it reducing the amount of domestic violence involving these players?
That's a great question. I think the answer is no. I think domestic violence, it's an important issue for everybody to pay attention to. But I'm not sure that the rules that are in place, I don't think it changes whether domestic violence occurs or not. I really don't.
All right. Well, Jay Reisinger, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight and for your valuable insights.
Thank you.
You bet. Up next, for most Americans, this has been the week to settle with the IRS, but not for America's super rich. We'll find out why. You're watching Brian Ross Investigates on the Law and Crime Trial Network.